We won't. We'll just focus on these four. Who are you most worried about?
Well, listen, in this morning's production meeting, I picked Tim Weah. Christian Pulisic now is a little more injured than what I had previously thought, but I'm going to stick with Weah because I'm sure we'll talk a little Pulisic here. Timothy Weah is in a crucial moment, not only in his club career, but also for the U.S. men's national team because he's highly productive, and productive not in the sense of goals and assists, but being dangerous of who he is. It took him a while to earn Maxi Allegri's trust. He wasn't starting at first, he was still playing, but in the last 3 games, he's been a starter. And now he's gonna miss the next 2 games and potentially the U.S. men's national team CONCACAF Nations League game versus Trinidad and Tobago. Now, what worries me is that there are few penciled in starters for Gregg Berhalter. You can go back to way before the World Cup. In World Cup qualifying, he earned Gregg Berhalter's trust. Since the World Cup, by the way, a World Cup in which he scored against, when he was very, very good, he started every single game he's been available for Gregg Berhalter. He seems to be the only constant threat in behind for Gregg Berhalter. He's the one player you can count on to always be dangerous. And when certain players are on the field, like Gio Reyna, like Christian Pulisic, guess who they always look for? It's Timothy Weah. So I am worried for Timothy Weah in this goodwill he's built up, both club and country. So there's a worry for me there.
Yeah. We talked about it during the last international window. You really feel like, I don't know if there's very few. Yeah, there's probably very few penciled in starters. There's a few of them, though. There's very few who are as consistent as Tim Weah. Over the last year or so, he has really blossomed into that guy. As far as Pulisic, I want to know what you're hearing, because I saw something from AC Milan today. Looks like he might be ready for the next game, which I think is next Saturday against Udinese. What did you see?
Whoa, I saw there was an injury to his thigh, so it leads me to believe if there's an injury to that thigh, it's not a precautionary measure, which I read, or the adductor, excuse me, it's not a precautionary measure. That's why he stayed out. It wasn't like it was stiff or it was just tight. There was something that happened there. Something that happens there, given this player's history, his injury-prone history, I am worried.
Yeah, no, it's fair. I'm not suggesting that you should not be worried. You know what was interesting for me is I was keeping an eye on this game as we were working the ESPN FC shift on Sunday. And, of course, I was very online, right? I'm on Twitter kind of as he subbed out and everybody's trying to figure it out. And, of course, when Christian Pulisic is trending, you immediately take note. And I thought for sure it was going to be, USMNT fans freaking out. Herc, it was a lot of AC Milan fans that were very worried about Christian Pulisic. The club is worried about him, and I think that's a sign of a few other things, right? They got some injuries there. Chukwueze has been hurt.
Yeah.
Rafael Leao has not been as productive. But Christian Pulisic has gotten off to a very good start. And when the Milan fans are almost as worried as the U.S. fans, that's when you know he's doing well.
You can't hide how well he's doing. He's in the form of his life. Both club and country, his play has aligned. He's one of the more important pieces for Pioli, one of the more important pieces for Milan and how they go forward. I spoke about Oliver Giroud constantly looking for Christian Pulisic, his runs, his movements, where he can get and receive the ball. Rafael Leao as well, always looking to try to switch the ball to Pulisic. And when a player like Rafael Leao isn't responding, sometimes it is a Pulisic who ends up being one of the better players, or at least the player who can provide that spark when your main player isn't that guy.
All right, so we had a bunch of Americans that went off at the half of their respective European fixtures on the weekend. Herc says he's most worried about Tim Weah. I'm going a different direction.
Okay.
And mine isn't injury related, and that's probably why it's such a big worry, right? Because it's a tactical decision by the manager. I'm going with Gio Reyna, who came off at the half for Borussia Dortmund in their 3-3 draw against Eintracht Frankfurt. This is bad news for me for a few reasons. One, the team seemed to improve without him. They were down 2-0. They got a late goal in stoppage time in the first half. So it's actually 2-1 when he comes off. But the attack comes to life significantly in the second half. And they do end up at least salvaging a draw from what looked like in the first half was a defeat. On top of that, and I'm watching him with, if anything, a favorable eye as somebody who covers Gio Reyna and appreciates what he is as a player. He didn't particularly stand out, in the 45 minutes. He didn't look like the guy who I thought we would see coming off the incredible international break, coming off the confidence-building international break with the U.S. And the fact that it was his first stop, I had high expectations. Now, I know that Edin Terzic, the manager, comes out after the game and says, and he wasn't the only guy taken off at the half. There were 2 changes at the half. But Terzic comes off and says, well, it could have been anybody at halftime. The team was playing so bad. The reality, Herc, is it wasn't anybody. Terzic picked Reyna. He picked a guy who he had handed his first start to get off the field. And that, to me, is a big worry because you talked about trust. And I don't know that Edin Terzic doesn't trust Gio Reyna, but he certainly doesn't trust him as much as he trusts other guys who play the same position. And that, coupled with the reports that we're seeing today and yesterday out of Germany, where the German press is starting to attach an actual number, an actual transfer fee, a value to what Dortmund might want if they were to sell Gio Reyna, it makes me think he's got limited time at this club. I'm not saying that's a bad thing for Gio Reyna. It might be the best thing, but I don't think that's the case for Pulisic. It's not the case for Balogun. It's not the case for Weah. I think right now for Reyna, you really got to worry about his future at Dortmund.
Worry about his future at Dortmund? No, I think he's done. I think that ship has sailed. It's going to come to an end sooner rather than later. I think sometimes, especially with a player like Gio Reyna, as long as it's not injury related right now, I am cool with. Listen, he started 2 games for Gregg Berhalter, played 2 halves. A guy who hadn't played any minutes. I think he played, 24 minutes, 26 minutes right before he came to the U.S. men's national team to go 45 minutes, get those starts, and then do the trip back. So to the States and back to Germany, it's going to take a lot out of you physically because you haven't been used to that, and then start another 45 minutes.
You think they took him off because he was tired, or you think they took him off?
No, I think they took him off because he wasn't helping. I think he wasn't helping because he was tired. I mean, the guy just started for the first time this year, back-to-back games. I think this is more of a physical issue where he just probably wasn't at his best. But if he's healthy, I'm okay with it. Given his history, I'm okay with it.